Students are packing their schedules with more and more extracurricular activities. But how are these busy schedules affecting our kiddos? Friend of the show, Alexa Lee, went to Akron Children's to talk to the experts.
If you're a parent who's finding yourself running from basketball to soccer, piano, and everything in between, you might want to hang around for this conversation. I'm at Akron Children's with Dr. Allison Weldon, who is a pediatric psychologist, and we're talking about extracurricular activities today, which I feel like is a hot topic. And funny enough, we grew up doing sports together, so it's one we know very well. So let's start with the young ones. Once they start kind of reaching those developmental milestones, we're seeing they can run and jump and even throw. How do we know when they're ready to get into those activities?
Yeah, I mean, that's a great question. I don't think there's a specific time we can really say they are exactly ready, but if they're showing a little bit more interest in preferring maybe one activity or another, or even, I know some cities will have these like sessions where it's like, I don't know, 5-6 weeks long, and each week is a different sport. Having them introduced that way so that it's like a short introduction to like football and then baseball and then soccer can be really helpful. I think that doesn't show their readiness, but it shows at least interest and kind of gauges their appropriateness for that behavior.
That's a great tip, to just try to just ease them in before you pay for a whole session.
Definitely. It's not cheap.
Exactly. So let's talk about the younger kids versus the older kids. How do we know which extracurricular activities are appropriate for the different ages?
Yeah, so I mean, there isn't really anything that I would say is like specific, oh, this is definitely good for this age, this is better for this age, but I think it's, once again, gauging their interest and whatever fits family values or kind of their core beliefs. So I know some families have rules for themselves and their families, and like, oh, you can do one sport and then one art, so, you know, an art class or music or some type of theater or something, and I think whatever kind of works for their schedule kind of works the best for that.
Absolutely. Well, I think as parents, we're usually like trying to sign them up thinking about the benefits, right? Whether it's social, emotional. So let's talk about that. What do you see as the benefits of extracurricular activities?
Yeah, so exactly that, right? The social and emotional benefits, definitely. You learn a lot of skills that we don't really think about, right? Leadership skills, teamwork, problem solving, resiliency. I mean, especially because we eventually have to learn that we win, we lose. Like, those are things that happen, and those are like great skills for life because we're not always going to get everything we want, and that kind of helps build that ability to kind of be resilient and move forward from there.
Absolutely. Well, this question I feel like is a hot topic type of one. How do you know if your kid is a little bit overwhelmed? I mean, it seems like kids are in everything under the sun. If I told you my daughter was going to go water plants in the forest because it was a club, she would do it, right? So how do you know if it's too much?
Yep, so I think watching for changes in behavior. So for the younger ones, if they're a little bit more irritable, a little bit more obviously cranky, or just kind of overly tired would probably be good, like signs of overwhelmed for them. But as they get older, especially high school aged, if they're kind of drowning in their work, not able to keep up, no longer really engaged in all the other things they would want to do, like hanging out with friends, outside of clubs. Like clubs are great for that socialization piece, but they still need to be a kid and still have that socialization outside of that. You know, if they're coming home and immediately going straight to bed, or staying up really late because then they have to keep up with all their homework, because a lot of those kids are also in a lot of advanced classes and a lot of homework, and sometimes we can't avoid that with sports, but as much as we can, I think that would be a sign of like they're overwhelmed, but hey, let's pare back on some of these activities.
Well, it can add up for sure, right? And we want to take all the benefits, but we also want to let them be a kid and just play. So thank you so much for all of the advice you always give. It's wonderful. And for folks at home, for more information, you can just go to akronchildrens.org. Thank you.